I get a little bit of my fancy water today instead of hot tea. Oh, I need another coffee.
Ice cold water from the water cooler here at the office.
Coffee, but I looked at the time and realized I needed to just skedaddle up here so that we could chat about all things real estate. CC Machieski. So, anybody that's coming in, you're watching on the replay, thank you for joining us. I'm Holly Amato with EXP here in Michigan, also licensed down in Florida. And my beautiful partner, CC Machieski in Simple Home Lending, who's also licensed here in Michigan and in Florida. So we are here for all things mitten and what is Florida? It doesn't really have like we need to come up with something. Like it looks like I don't know, maybe we'll have to work on that. I think that could be fun. That could be part of our marketing. I like that idea. Right. What is Florida shape? Who wants to chime in on that? So obviously we have a lot going on. I mean, there's so many thoughts I have in my head right now, which we can get to some of them later. But there's a lot of talk about what the market is like right now. The summer market. What's going on in the summer market? And I think just to start off by saying this year we've had a lot of change. We've had a new administration come in. They've had a lot of initiatives they've put into place. We went to a tariff system. We had the scare of, potential war, which apparently we're in a ceasefire now. So all these things happening in the world, obviously, I think caused some people to be like they put their face out like they peek. Okay, I'm ready to go. Oh, I don't know. I'm ready to go. Oh, I don't know. And it's like the is everything okay out there? Like check
That's what they sadly will go by the news of their own opinion. If there's a lot of scare tactics going on, then they get scared. They hear it. It's part of talking about the water cooler talk. Sometimes you just really need to talk to a professional. It's like when you Google a sickness, like how does that work out for everybody? Don't
go see a doctor, right? So then you're like, oh my gosh, you've diagnosed yourself with like death, you know what I mean? And it's like, and then you find out it was no big deal. But yeah, I think some of the things we have to remember, like take it with a grain of salt. A lot of these things are scare tactics. I like how you said that. And well, here's the positive to that. For people who are savvy buyers, in my opinion, they would use that to their advantage because if there are some people, hey guys, thanks for joining us. If there are some people who are nervous about buying, and that means maybe there's less offers being put out, well, then you have a great opportunity as a buyer. Right. So, because we can see the cycles of real estate. This isn't the first rodeo. This isn't the first time the Middle East has had issues, wars, all the things, that we've had stuff going on financially with the country. Not the first rodeo that we've had. But I do think, I'm going to start where I'm going to end, which is if you sit and wait for, let's say, the rate to come down or the perfect climate, if you're sitting there with all these other people thinking the same thing, and then everybody jumps in together, now you have more competition is always going to drive the prices up. We've seen it happen. So you're going to pay more if you wait than if you go at a time where maybe there's less people offering. Now maybe you can get a great opportunity. That's the smart savvy buyer. And I always want to go over that because I think it's important that we keep visiting that because that is true. And I know you've seen that too. um so I thought it would be interesting if we could talk about, there are a lot of headlines out there. Yes, inventory is up. If we look at year over year, if we look at last year, especially compared to this year and 2023, things look like they're up. And then, of course, everyone's favorite thing is our rates going to drop. And, you know, there are buyers who are looking, obviously, still a seller's market here in Michigan. And I think when they do those headlines, they're doing like the whole country. Half of our country is in a buyer's market, like a serious buyer's market. Florida is one of the top ones. California, Las Vegas, big parts of Texas. It seems like it just kind of starts in Seattle and up in Washington and goes down all the way around. But the northern states, besides Minnesota and Vermont, I don't know why those two. Those two are in a buyer. I don't. Minnesota and Vermont are also in a buyer's market, according to the information that I checked. Yeah, the rest of us are not. So I think it's a lot of because what's going on with Florida, with California, they have the fires, we've got hurricanes, we've got prices that jacked up so high so fast, and then it just couldn't be sustained. We really don't have that in Michigan. I mean, we've had pricing go up, but it's not like we've had this crazy influx where we're way outside of our zone.
Year.
Still
Okay.
increasing, and it depends you're looking at. Some places are even more than that, some places are a little less, but we are not seeing any decrease or decline in our median price. And I look at it and I keep looking at different cities to check it. We're consistently up year over year. So if we're looking at the month of, let's say, June, when June's over, we'll get the whole data based on June of 2024, and then we could go back and look at different dates. But no, we're not in a decline. Some states are in a decline, some areas of some states are in a decline, but we are not. So we're in a good spot with Michigan. It's the opposite for Florida, definitely a buyer's market, which we might have time to get to later. But when you're looking at what's going on right now, you have to look at your area first of all. You have to like be specific on what's going on. So if I look at, let's say, Macomb County, because that's where we're at, just as an average, the average days on market is around 30. It's now, is it 30 for everywhere? No, because there's a lot of places that are less. I'm trying to think. I just ran one. I don't know if it was Sterling Heights or if it was Clinton Township. It was like 24. One was 14. So they're all over the place. But 30 days on the market is pretty normal right now before going pending, and the pricing is up if the house is ready to go. One thing I will say, buyers, that's it. That's the sticking point. So buyers are out there and they're serious, but they're cautious and they're kind of like when the right home pops up, they're there.
My current clients care, they look for the school district first and then look for the house second.
And someone just made a comment. I don't know if he's still on. So this is interesting. Los Angeles, California, you're only paying 4,500 a month for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath apartment. That actually seems like a steal to me. I don't know what part of LA you're in, but that sounds great because I mean 4,500 is that's not bad in my opinion. I guess 4-bedroom. I'm thinking 4-bedroom. You've got at least 1,200 square feet if it's 4-bedroom. 1,500. I'm thinking. I don't know how you're getting 4-bedroom with less than that, but that's not bad. So that's a great opportunity. Um, and I guess let us know if you're still on what area of LA you're in. Because yeah, like the rentals are out of control right now, just because people who aren't going to buy, can't buy, are waiting to buy. They've got to. If somebody's got a rental, then they're paying the higher taxes, obviously, because they're not getting that homestead, which we all know about. And they've got their carrying costs and all the things. And if they have a loan on the property, they have to make some money. Like if your payment on a house is $2,200, let's say, and you're gonna rent it. I mean, it doesn't even make sense for anything less than 25, 2,600. Or what are you actually doing? Where are you've got to hold money for repairs, and something pops up, something goes wrong when these renters leave. What do they do to the place? So yeah, it's just been wild. I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, so there's a couple different scenarios. Oh, we lost Cece. She'll probably pop back in. I've been showing a lot of houses lately, and different areas have different um I would say time on market. So I've been showing a lot of houses on the water, but these houses on the water that we're looking at are older. They're not like showroom ready, I would say. So they're sitting on the market a little bit longer, but like we'll go see a house that's been on the market 65 days. And then all of a sudden, we're getting a text from the agent saying, "Hey, we have an offer. What did you think about the showing?" So, what that tells me is because we're at the end of June, anybody who's looking for a waterfront property is buying right now because they're thinking, well, I want to get my usage out of this. Hi, Jacqueline. So glad you're here. So, you know what I mean? Those properties, this is the time to grab them. So now that people are confident or whatever, they're ready to buy. So that's just, but that's a very different scenario. And then the house that we did an open house on over the weekend, um, we have an offer on that first day on the market. And we had a lot of people through, right? So that one's not going to be sitting long at all. So it just depends, I think, on price point. That's big. And then your specific buyer, because knowing your buyer. Exactly. Yeah.
Putting an offer on the home the day of. I'm shocked you didn't have 3. I can name 3 of those people who came through that I swore was gonna put an offer on it. 1 for sure. So, but his motivation is he just moved back from another state for work. He's motivated because he has 2 kids. They're going in, or one's in high school and one's about to go into high school. So again, it came down to the school. Granted, the school that they in are a competitor of the one that they're moving into, which is a fun fact, which they'll be surrounded by the other high schools, students, but it's again the location and the type of home. It's perfect from coming back from the state that they were in to this state where now he's employed and they're back near their family. So the motivation, school district and back for work. And that will drive someone higher and to be a little more motivated, as well as what you were giving an example about with the water. I love it because when you're out there, what's the temperature right now? I mean, whoever's watching, what's the temperature where you're at? Because here, whew, I my hair was straight.
Eight, it was 82. And I think it was gonna be 92 today, which is not bad because yesterday it was 100 degrees. And the day before it was 95. So we're in this like hot tomorrow, I think it goes down a little bit, but yeah, it's been like crazy hot. It was crazy hot.
Be by water. I want to be by the pool. Do you want to be by the pool or a lake? Mm. Oh,
When you said job change. So what we are finding, there's an uptick in inventory, but here's the thing. A lot of the houses I'm going through are vacant. So a lot of these are estate sales. I would say I am seeing a ton of estate sales right now. There's a lot of empty homes. An estate sale just basically means it's being sold by the heirs of someone who has potentially passed on, or maybe they're moving to another location into another living facility and they have the ability to sell for them, but they're empty, so that's one big thing is the estate sales. Another is these life situations. You just said job changes. Then we've got people getting divorced. There's a rise in that too. I forget what the stat was and I wanted to remember it, but there's a rise right now in divorce. It's up. Divorces are up right now. Um, as you know, and a lot of our listeners, we work with a lot of people getting divorced. I have my certification in it for real estate. We've both been through the process. We work with tons of clients going through the process. So we're very well educated and knowledgeable on how to really navigate real estate and mortgage when you're going through a divorce. It's huge. There's landmines that you don't want to step on. Get your foot blown off.
and that within that, within the communication with our the families and friends that we serve, it's huge to be able to say, okay, yes, this is a hard change. Just today, I talked to someone who's in the middle of, or the beginning, I would say the beginning of divorce and learning lessons, and you're always learning lessons. So to have someone who's a trusted advisor like myself go through the process with them and open up their eyes, the good or the bad. Unfortunately, this one was a bad one. And she didn't know a few things, and I had to educate her of where she was at financially and didn't know. So when we work with individuals with job changes, divorce, it's good to get organized, get educated, and trust the advisors that you need to hire, like yourself or like me, where I can go, okay, where are you at? What are your goals? And that's a huge part, your goals. And how can we get to your goals at that point and do it together as a team? So, moving forward, even with talking about where we're at in the real estate industry, the topic of our conversation today, what the summer buzz is about in real estate, these are some really hard changes people go through. They move for work, they are moving or downsizing, they're moving just due to divorce, or they have to sell the assets to pay off the divorce or split the equity and make everything fair or pay someone out. There's so much data here. And I love that we're bringing up what the summer looks like, because the individuals who are out there right now watching, they want to buy homes. Well, as you're searching for a home, you brought up a good point earlier about the interest rate. It's not gonna go back down to 2%, but they are ticking down, which is nice. So I was able to lock, well, I actually got 2 clear to closes today, and I was able to lock them 2 days ago, and the rates went down. We played the rate game, and I always put it in front of the client. This is your decision. And the 2 wanted to play the game, and it actually was successful for them. You never know, but that's their decision, and I give them the pros and the cons and give them advice, and luckily, it's kinda ticked down just enough where this one person is saving an extra $20 because they held out. That's a risk, but it worked out. So, with the summer forecast of what we're discussing here, I see the healing starting. We're starting to come down on the rate just a little bit. I know you and I were talking this morning about where we're at percentage wise regarding inflation. So I looked up this, yes. And then so I looked up the stats, and right now they're at 2.4%. Now, what you and I were discussing, another loan officer here at my office, was a couple weeks ago, was 2.1. So we're fluctuating, and what I found doing a little research today, that in 2021 the inflation rate was actually at 7%, which we did not feel because the rates were low, the gas prices were low. So if the groceries were up, we didn't feel it as much as we're at. Yeah.
Running and trying to get buyers homes and listing my sellers, and they were sold in like a second and then having to get them. It was running a lot. I don't even remember the cost of groceries in 2021. I just remember we were tired. It was a busy year. I don't think I'm one of those. I'm in the no days off club. I can't remember. Yeah, like that's it, right? Holidays. Yeah, we were busy, busy, busy.
Legit only day off that I took for myself. And I told everybody under the sun, I am taking Thanksgiving off. I don't even like Thanksgiving. Really. Like, I'm not the food, it's the turkey trot's the only thing I like to do. So, here in Detroit. But with that said, I'm like, this is my only day off. I told everybody under the sun. Still got phone calls. I did not pick up the phone calls, and I ended up getting yelled at because I took a day off on Thanksgiving. My only day for that year.
I want to say revenue, the revenues of, of everything that they're tariffing, that we were up like the government, whatever it was they were looking at, that was one of the things they were scrolling and saying we're up 270%. And I wanted to go back, I don't remember exactly, but one of the revenues is up. So the tariff system seems to be working well. I don't think I don't think that the news is going to report that. They only seem to want to report negative. Okay, we have a question. Is it Amori? I want to buy a house. Where's the best place to live? Where at? Are you talking about Michigan, Florida? Let's see if he wants to give us the answer.
Due to taxes. Oh, I love Tennessee. Tennessee, Kentucky, I kind of really like that the
A lot of family there. Tennessee's cool. I could do that. Louisiana. Oh, LA. Oh, I'm sorry. You're in LA, California. That's right. I personally can't tell you where to live. All I can tell you is you're living in a very expensive place. And if you are open to saving some money and getting more for your money, like Michigan's a great place for that. I don't know if you'd be prepared for the winters. So you might want to come during a winter and check it out. We do have a lot of gray days here. We do have a lot of cold days, but we do have some great pricing with homes compared to what you're used to. So $4,500, if that's what you're renting, we could get you an amazing house for like half that. Maybe just a little more than half that.
about $700,000 house. Yeah.
Houses that try, but yeah, I love the idea. So I'm considering a move at some point, or at least back and forth, because I love Florida, but I don't know that I'm going to buy. Even though we're in real estate, I don't know that I would buy in Florida right now. What I want to talk to you about, CC, though, this is funny that I'm going to bring it up on live. I would consider getting a partner and buying a property and using it as a investment, Airbnb, and then just blocking it out when we want to go down and we have a place to go down, but on the other dates that we just rented out. I have a website. Yes, mine is hollyamato.com, HOLLYAMATO.com. And then CC, I don't know if you have a website. Okay. So you can reach out to me and fill out the form there. And if you have a question for CC, I will pass it along to her. There's a contact form. So you have a question for CC, you can put it through my website and I'll make sure she gets it. But yeah, first thing,
Why it's not working. Actually, I'm looking it up right now.
yeah. Am I freezing though? I know she is, but am I? Oh, okay, I'm freezing too. That's weird. See, for me, I'm not frozen. I can't tell. I don't know what's going on with Wi-Fi, but yeah, me too. Interesting. Well, we're gonna blame YouTube for that problem. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna blame YouTube, right? Because I can't pay for any higher Wi-Fi than I got over here. This is what we have, is what we have, and it's, yeah, it should be. But yeah, so what else were we gonna talk about? Yeah, oh, so that's the thought. I didn't ever see myself as an investor, and I wouldn't say that I have this huge like dream of being an investor, but because I want to have a place in Florida, and I know that I'm not going to have want to carrying costs, and I'm going to have to really start, hustling hardcore if I'm going to buy another house. What a great! I think it's smart, because Florida to me would be the place I would do that, because I think it's probably one of the best places to Airbnb and to have a rental, like short-term rental. I'm not talking get a renter in there to live for a year or two. I don't want to do that. I would do it as an Airbnb because you can make a lot of money that way, especially if you get it in a great area in Florida. So, anyways, we'll have to maybe talk about that, and maybe that'll be part of our live, like talking about investors, and that's a big thing right now too. So that's another thing that's actually big right now. We are seeing the return of the fixer uppers. Like they're all out there trying to grab some properties, and in areas that they feel like will have a good turnaround. Um or Airbnb is a big thing on the waterfront properties we've been looking at. That's our goal, to Airbnb it. Couple of them already are. So it's nice because we could ask, what are you getting per night? And I always like to know, what does the in season look like? Like we're in season right now. What does off season look like? So what does your winter look like? You know?
Mhm. I want to Airbnb this house so bad. It's actually up in the Traverse City area. And the reason why I'd like to do that is there's a fall. The fall is magnificent up there. That is a perfect place. Then you have the summers, and in the wintertime, you're near Crystal Mountain. You get to still enjoy. So those areas of the Airbnb are super successful. Why did well, I think we have the same reason. You can correct me, CC, if I'm wrong, but a lot of people in Michigan have an interest in having a Florida home. It's just a one of the biggest states of people relocating to Florida is Michigan, or having a second home. So it just made sense. Mhm. Yeah. Sunshine type of a state, you're very lucky and you don't know that weather that we get starting December until April. Shoot, even May, it's pure gray. Gray as the wall that you're sitting in front of. It's all gray. So we go crazy and we have to get out to find vitamin D. We need to be in a state with sunshine. That's who we are as humans.
There, I woke up and every day was Groundhog's Day. It was always 80 degrees, it was always sunny. Um, so yeah, I think if you're used to that, it might be a little bit difficult trying to transition to a place where you're not going to have that. So I like your thought on Tennessee. That's a good. I think that's a good middle ground to check out.
Down there and be able to run your businesses. A lot of Californians, even let's talk about TikTok influencers, a lot moved to Tennessee. I've seen a lot of people, any influencers, big companies moving to Tennessee, their headquarters, because of such a great tax benefit that they get. So that's a whole nother show. But for the time being, we're discussing about the summer buzz of real estate.
Have a lot of people who are holding out for that rate to drop, and I think the reason why we're starting to see an influx of homes not take, like some of them are going quicker, is because they're realizing another thing that happens with us is that we're in a time frame of, okay, people that have kids are back to school September, whatever day after Labor Day or whenever. Some of them are end of August, but people want to be moved before school starts, because the start of a school year, oh my gosh, my kids are all graduated. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work to start a school, especially the younger your kids are. I think the older they got, it wasn't as big a deal. We just had to grab a couple pencils and a couple things. It wasn't like we didn't go crazy over the stuff. But like with elementary and middle school and maybe the first year of high school, big deal. It's like there's so much stuff, and there's back to school night, and parents don't want to have to deal with a move and that, because all the paper that's going to be inundated when they start school, they just want to be settled. And the other thing is, kids want to be able to, especially if they're leaving their area, they want to make some friends. Maybe they're going to be at a different school. If they're going to be at a different school, that's stressful for kids. They're going to definitely want to get there in the summertime and see if they can make some friends. So they don't have to start that first day not knowing anybody. 'Cause it's such a big deal for kids. So people typically, that's a big thing for them. That's why we're so busy right now. The weather's good, and a lot of people don't want to move if they don't have to in the cold and the ice and the snow, and school starting. So that just seems to be everyone's focus, getting it done. No, I don't. Summer always goes way too fast. It always goes way too fast. It's so every year I feel it, and I'm like, man, I try to optimize every single day because it's so fast. The summer is so short. Yeah.
It's time to jump. It's time to move. If you're going to consider selling your place, this is the time to sell your home. Right now, you get the bigger bang for your buck. So, little story time on me. As you've heard, if you've watched and liked and subscribed to Holly's page, you've heard that we both are divorced. And going through the divorce process, most likely are selling assets or buying someone out. For me, we discussed of selling the primary home. Was it better for the fall or for the spring? And ultimately, we ended up waiting. Remember our conversation of what we could get the home for in the fall versus the spring. And that was a big decision between me and my ex-husband. Are we going to hold money and wait for the spring, or do we just call it and sell it in the fall? We ultimately ended up deciding to hold till the spring so we can make more money. And we were very successful in that adventure. So right now, the spring, the summer, this is time to strike when the iron is hot. Yeah.
Till the end, closer to the end of the year. And I hope I'm wrong about that. I'd love to be wrong about that.
Shift. There's going to be no big shift. I just want everybody out there that hears this, sees this, even the economic forecasters that Holly and I really like, it's not a drop. It's actually going to be a steady decrease, is a word I would like. Exactly. So if your loan amount is, let's just say $140,000. Okay, let's just be hypothetical. 140, 200. So 140, the difference between the rate dropping down, maybe $20 a month. Are you going to say no to a house at $20 a month? Now let's go up higher in the loan value. Let's say you're buying a house at 250, 260, which is more like the average loan amount. That change in price is only gonna be $35. That's a pizza night. Are you telling me one pizza night a month is going to affect your decision of purchasing a home? Remember, we're all gonna we're all gonna be refinancing. When that rate declines to the correct time for your loan, and that's why you employ me. That's why I'm here. You're on a watch list. My job doesn't end at the closing table. It ends never. You employ me for life. I help you, I help your friends, and I help your family. That's what you get with me. I answer my personal cell phone all the time. So be able to look at the rate. Now, if we're at $400,000 loan amount, okay, that may be a $60 difference. Okay, but with an income that can handle a $400,000 loan, is $100 really going to make or break for the interim, the house that you want? So if you buy a house and we can refinance you in 8 months, 9 months, 12 months, what is an additional $1,000 to get the home you want? When you start adding it up, Does it make sense to be scared of the rate when we all know we're going to be refinancing? We all know we're going to be playing the rate game. And I hate the terminology, you date the rate, you marry the house. I know. Oh my gosh. Oh, so overplayed. But it's true, right? Are you really going to say no to a dream house over a whole $60 a month? No.
That they really don't have anything extra that they can say no to. I know, there's a lot of things like you just okay, so you don't get the coffee out, or you just don't, like you said, the pizza night, or you just, one weekend, you don't go out to eat, right? Just one out of the whole month, or one night out of the week, one weekend night. Some people go out both. So if we really look at our budget and we are intentional and we can say, okay, this is a home. This is like the most important thing to most people. Some people, maybe not, but to get the home that you want, exactly. Just usually you can find that money in your budget and just cutting some other things out that really you don't have to have.
Would that $60 change or make or break? No, it would have helped to save the money when I made that decision. But now looking back, oh, I really wish I had two bathrooms. True. But for me, I think it means a lot to me, is the point, that if I would have had my own bathroom and my own space, because we've had our own bathrooms our entire life. Well, my daughter's entire life, she's had her own bathroom.
People right now that are moving are the downsizers, like people like that are empty nesters. I'm not quite there yet. Only one is technically out of the nest. The other two are still, not on their own yet. But within the next 5 years, I'll be a full empty nester or less, 5 years or less, probably less. And, I will definitely not need to keep this house. I just have to decide what I want to do with. I'm really thinking about, should I rent in Florida? Should I, so I think knowing the motivation, and I think yep, there was a comment expecting the realtor to give the best options available. Absolutely. And your realtor needs to know what your goals are and what's important to you and what your living situation looks like, and ask a lot of questions, because the best options available to you could be completely different than the best options available to someone else. So that's where you have to get in and dig deep. And that's the relationship part of it, because there's not a like one size fits all for everybody when it comes to real estate. Definitely not with mortgage either. There's a lot of loan products out there, and where there's a will, there's a way. And I like, Cece, that you always say, if it's a no, it's not a no forever. It's just a not now, right? There's a plan for later, right? Hmm.
Find that goal. We'll figure out what is a correct path. Because not every time, let's rush and let's go purchase a property now. That's not what this is about. Financial freedom is understanding your budget, like what you were saying, Holly, looking at the budget. If it's something you can afford, great. So same principle. Let's keep moving forward with that conversation. Get organized, figure out what you want and how to get there. Okay, the house you want, you need $30,000 to put down. Okay, how long is it going to take to find $30,000? Or do you only need 5% down and you only need that 15,000 plus closing costs? Where are you at? That's 2,500 or 25,000, 24,000. But then you have that goal. Where are you going to get it from? A 401k? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe just saving it up and coming up with a plan and being frugal for 2 years. That's where we all work together to make your goals work for in a so you can have that financial freedom.
The time, but you have to get enough information so you can make the plan. And sometimes the plan changes, and we have to be flexible. If there's one thing we are, it's flexible because things can change on a dime rapidly, and motivations can change, and you know, areas that we want to be in can change, jobs can change. Um, a lot of things can just change. So I was working with someone and they decided to we were in this area and then they decided to go to an area that I don't work in, and they had a very good reason for it, and it made perfect sense. And again, that's just how things can evolve with people when you want to be near family, or you have an issue, or you're not health concern, you know what I'm saying, and you need to be near family or whatever it is. It's just kind of how I'd love to end it, is just saying that it's not a one size fits all. This is, in my opinion, why something like a chat GPT, definitely something like Zillow, can't replace working with human beings, because there is no factoring that in. There is, yes, chat GPT will talk to me like I'm their friend sometimes, but not really, not when we have to get into some of these deeper scenarios and really come up with plans. That's why you hire a human being. That's always going to be that human connection, and making sure you're getting your needs met instead of just being shoved through a process, which is, it's always going to be important. Okay. All right, cool. So that's it.
4,500 payment without hurting or without starving. Because is this why you want to move to a different area for less? Because making $100,000 and having a $4,500 rent payment only, then the additional cost, is that why you've been asking where to move and which makes the best decision for you?
Pushing the limits.
So that's what we look at. We are not looking for you to be house poor. We want you to live life. So just hearing that you make $100,000, in my head with a normal debt, you should be looking for something around $2,100 to kind of give you some breathing room so you can live. Because I imagine if you have a four-bedroom, three bath, if that's what I remember you said in your comments before, that means that your family is a pretty decent sized family. That includes a yeah. So if that's the scenario, if there's kids involved, that's a lot of food, that's a lot of groceries. So just hearing 100,000, you may want to look in the 2,100 range, which is not Los Angeles. That's not California. You're living in a shack or a shoebox that you might be able to put your name on. So, yeah.
So you're not going to go anywhere over there. But, over here, I would say Midwest, southern states would be definitely probably look more southern states since you're used to nice weather. But Florida wouldn't be it either. Just real quickly, because we have to end Florida, you might be able to get a great payment because it's a buyer's market, but the HOA fees, special assessments, and insurance, if you can even get it, that's where it blows you out of the water. That's why Florida's a tough market right now. Florida, you really have to be balling out, in my opinion, to buy in Florida. Unless you're on the interior of Florida, which is so hot, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd want to be on the coast. Yeah. We're not doing that. If we're going, we're going to be where the breeze is. So, well, thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate you. I'm Holly Amato. This is Cece Machieski. And we come live on Tuesdays at 2. That's easy to remember. Talking everything real estate. So if you have any questions or comments, if you're watching this on the replay, yes, we were live. That's why we were maybe stopping and reading, and it looked like, what are they doing? Did they freeze? But yeah, we like to answer questions with people who jump on. So if you do have a question, you're watching this after, please feel free to put it in those comments, and we'll talk about it next week. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so that you know when we go live, and tap the bell for notifications. And we'll see you next Tuesday at 2. Everybody have a blessed week.